For more on the protests, we're joined now by Jonathan Schanzer, Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. So, Jonathan, we saw last week protests erupt fairly spontaneously in Middle East capitals in Tehran and Baghdad and Beirut. They then spread to Western European capitals. They're now right here on America's doorstep. The vast majority of them seem to be very hotly anti-Israel, anti-Jewish in the thrust of the sentiment.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I find it remarkable that you see these protests in support of Hamas, essentially, after a pogrom that killed 1,400 people. There is zero accountability for Hamas. There's zero accountability for the Palestinians. This is an attempt, I believe, to try to intimidate Western capitals. They've always been afraid of the so-called Arab street and the kind of chaos that could erupt across the Arab world and certainly in European capitals. And so I think this is an attempt to try to scare Western governments from supporting the state of Israel. I think most of the world is still behind Israel, most of the Western world. And the hope, anyway, is that these protests don't change that.
Is there a way for American civilians to, if they don't want to take to the streets and protest, on the other side of the equation, who want to support the Israelis to sort of show their hand here?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of people reaching out to members of Congress, giving them exactly the sorts of opinions that members should be hearing. And we're seeing a lot of action on the Hill right now. Members of Congress holding hearings, wanting to learn more. I believe that a lot more can be done in the realm of curbing Hamas finance. There are countries that we support, notably Turkey, Qatar, Malaysia, Lebanon. These are jurisdictions that have enabled Hamas finance, and I think our members of Congress and representatives in government should be hearing more about this in the days and weeks to come.
You talk about the money trail on university campuses, pointing out that major donors pulling funding from schools that are allowing anti-Israeli and anti-Jewish sentiment to spread rampantly on college campuses as a productive means here. Talk to me a little about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly seeing some of the philanthropists that have been supporting these schools are beginning to pull that support. We're hearing a lot of anger from alumni. People
voting with the checkbook.
Yeah, voting with their checkbook, refusing to show up for homecoming weekends, things like that. I think that is a good sign. It's a good start. But I do believe that the universities have allowed themselves to become hotbeds for radical professors who have tenure and are going to be very difficult to remove from those chairs.
When you look at the broader policy objectives here, the Biden administration is insisting their #1 priority is to prevent this from spilling over, becoming a broader regional war. Do you think that the U.S. has the ability to really deter Iran from getting directly involved if in a ground invasion, a ground war erupts?
Look, that's the big question. Right now, after the president directly threatened the Iranians, directly threatened Hezbollah, they continue to provoke Israel. Day after day, we have seen out of Lebanon dozens of anti-tank rounds fired at Israeli military positions. The Iranians are still stoking unrest across the region, deploying Shiite militias in places like Iraq and Yemen and Syria to go after the U.S. as well as Israel. Right now, I think there are open questions about whether the Biden administration is seen as a credible threat to Iran and its proxies. This needs to change.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you if you think, looking back over the last week, whether you think President Biden's visit to Israel was worth it.
Look, he certainly, I think, it was a shot in the arm to the Israelis. I think they felt good about the fact that he was there and that they're getting his support. But again, without that deterrence, without the administration's ability to truly scare Iran, to get them to start to pull back from the brink, I'm not sure that the trip accomplished what the president set out to do.
All right, well, Jonathan, we got to leave it there, but thanks for taking time with us today. It's good to see you in person.